This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. Oh dear. I pressed my unmute button on my stream deck and it said, not functioning. Not functioning. I was like, oh dear. Hello everyone. Hello and welcome. Yes, we're here. Part 3 of Traders and Devils. If you were monitoring the YouTube channel, you suddenly realised that I had two lots of actual plays to upload, one after another. So you got double dosage. And if you are interested in Mythras, then don't forget, Mr. Pickles, to go and listen to the Mythras Matters podcast, which is absolutely superb. And if you are interested in the Mythras Matters podcast, this month it is all about M Space, which is the science fiction version of Mythras, and it's currently it's called To M Space and Beyond, which is, I thought that was quite good. I really did think that was quite good. If you guys are talking, I can't hear you, by the way. Oh, yes.
We're all on mute.
We're letting you have your elements.
We're letting you just letting me go for it.
It's your show. We want to have you have your little monologue. Yay. Then we come in as the guest.
And then you also like
yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to see how many downloads I'm up to on the podcast. Yes, this episode currently has 100 downloads, which is not bad since it only went live on the 1st of October. Yeah, so my highest download is 808, which is the first ever one that's had 808. You know. What?
I've not been at work.
Oh, I don't know.
What are you listening to? Why are you listening to me? It will.
Well,
Mythras in space.
it's I quite. It was really interesting. It was Clarence and Scott. Clarence Red, who actually wrote the rules. He was from Sweden, and then Scott was from Seattle, and I was from the UK. So we had to somehow do some kind of weird time sync to actually find it.
Think same place.
Yeah.
At least geographically. So,
well, and it was just sort of,
sure.
and Clarence did a really good job. I am always in awe when I do interviews with people from another country, not America, obviously, but you know, from things like Sweden and Norway and Germany, because they speak such good English. It's just sort of like unbelievable, and I would not be able to converse like they do.
Why we don't learn foreign languages? Why?
I know.
America's been saying that for about 100 years now. So.
you know,
welcome to the bandwagon.
There's a wonderful you nobody will have seen it, but My Fair Lady, which is a musical, but it's based on Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. Anyway, there's a wonderful song in it called "Why Can't the English Learn How to Speak?" And there's a wonderful line in it, and that
I can't. Yeah.
there's a wonderful line in it that says, "In America, they haven't used it for years." Professor Higgins, cheer up, cat, in buy flour for poor gal. Yeah, I just think when people say in America they haven't used it for years. Excellent. Anyway, welcome along to Mythras, a fantasy role-playing game based on the D100 percentile system. No classes, no levels. Characters are free to explore any route of role playing that they need, or whether or not they want magic or no magic or sword play. It's quite a lethal system. You can, for example, 2 adventures ago, one of the monsters lost its leg. Literally, it was seared off by the sorcerer, who just wrapped fire tendrils around it, and that was it. So yeah, and it's a good system. Not a lot of people play it, but we are out to spread the news of it. So as mentioned at the beginning of this stream, it's sponsored by the Design Mechanism, who actually created Mythras. So yeah, we're up to I think it's part 3 of this adventure. Last week was a really interesting session, and party and people went off in opposite directions throughout the session, and then actually converged at the end back in the Hairy Hobgoblin, where we start the adventure this week. And there was a rather exciting, well, I thought it was an exciting end to it. But before I give you a brief synopsis or overview, I am going to allow the players to say who they are and who the characters are that they will be playing tonight, as I do sound checks. And of course, we always go to the infamous Mr. Bartleby to start off with.
I'm Mr. Pickles, and I play Mr. Bartleby. Is our team one of the gods, god and goddess? He serves Amriel, the light moon goddess, as Maroth, the dark moon god. Gods primarily focused on Amriel. Through her, he's able to perform circles, prayers, to help invigorate, make people overall uplifted and better. He's also able to see some of the divine energies with one of his prayers. And he's able to do some small acts of preventing harm from happening to people. He's able to call on Amriel to punish the wicked, and it doesn't really damage them, it just stuns them. Beyond his work in the priesthood, he also has a fair amount of mercantile skills, commerce, I should say. He has a back history in working with merchants and being an aspiring bard before his hands were smashed. And he also functions as our team's historian of the area. He knows a lot about the local history, about the broad history of this continent. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic on to Longshanks EPG.
Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG, and tonight, as always, I'm playing the infamous character, Hengist. He's a noble warrior from Crete, clad out in heavy armor, head to toe. He currently fights with a longsword, a hand and half sword, and other names. So he fights it mainly two-handed. So he can do some pretty intense damage with that. As Invills was saying at the beginning, you can chop limbs off. Hengist very easily can and has chopped limbs off many times. So watch out for him in combat when he rolls well. When he doesn't roll well, dice gods. He has recently been involving himself in the noble houses in Lindowe, so much so that he's actually joined one. He's part of House Galot, which is in his view, it may be slightly different now, but in his view, it's a very noble house. It looks after the weak. It's got contracts with Count Bastian, so they give armor and weaponry to city guard and those sorts of things. And his personal views are he's very much sort of look after the vulnerable, no matter who the vulnerable are, whether they're the poor in Lindowe or they're the rich or the merchants. If somebody needs looking after or someone's in trouble, he's going to be there, sword in hand, charging at the person, attacking them or thing, because that's also happened. And so because of that, his views starting to come into line quite a lot with Bartleby's, and there might be some stuff happening in the future. Bartleby and Hengist's sort of like visions of Lindowe combining, but we'll see what happens. And I will pass it on Medivac because Captain Kangaroo was drinking.
Why, thank you, Longshanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I play Hazred Khan. He's a nomad from the northern steppes of Odessa. He's from this continent. He is a tracker, a scout. He's perfectly at home in the wilderness. He can blend into a bush like no one else. He is very uncomfortable in cities, but he tends to find himself in Lindowe quite a lot. Even though he dislikes it, he goes there because his friends are there. So Bartleby, Hengist, and Cyrus. And Gulliver occasionally is there too. He has recently joined the Brotherhood, which is a secretive group that keeps track of biomes and changes in the world and how things affect certain areas. He needs to go there and report his findings on his last adventure, but he hasn't had time yet because he's been rushing into this one. So yes, anything that changes, he's trying to maintain a very delicate balance of nature, basically. He's learning trail signs, and it's a form of reading to him, whereas people like Bartleby can read. He can't, but he can read signs etched in wood, certain symbols and things. He's learning to cook in the wild like he has been from joining this group, to be fair. And he's also learning a lot more about nature out here because things down south are slightly different than the barren tundras of north. So with that, I shall pass on to Captain Kangaroo.
Everyone, I'm Captain Kangaroo. I am playing tonight Cyrus Alias. Cyrus is the prideful, arrogant sorcerer of the group. He's very fiery in his personality and at killing people. We're still kind of developing him, but I think we've kind of found out in the last few turns that he doesn't like people when they mock him and creates grudges quite easily, specifically with the merchant guild in this situation. So he just doesn't like merchants, and we'll see how that plays out. He also is very impatient and likes to push things along and get to the point, because the next battle is where he's looking for. He's not looking for the next diplomacy session. He's also has his vices. He's a drinker. He's a whoremonger. He probably does more stuff. We'll find out. But I feel like in the end, he's still at the same time not completely terrible. He probably has some good kinks that we'll probably find out, and he hasn't killed his fellowship mates or whatever, this party. So that means he's not completely chaotic. So we'll find out what that means. No, he's probably actually a good guy, but he just has his own vices. From there, I will slightly give the mic in a very elegant way to Wills, our GM.
Thank you very much. I was trying to decide whether or not the merchants were nasty to you last week.
The merchants were nasty at me.
Did they talk to him?
Yeah.
when we had to protect them, yeah, when we had to protect them and everything, that's when they were nasty to us. But they all died, so really.
I think they might have
That's the
been
best
looking
Christmas.
in your general direction.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who you looking
Look
at?
me, I'm like, oh, so murder you?
I think it very much depends on how hungover Cyrus is, depending
That too,
on
yeah. He
how
thinks
much he
anyone
hates
who's
you or not.
yeah, that's does play a role. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We're just on the chat. We're just comparing the channel sounds because I don't have any control over how loud you individually sound, but I sort of like just master the mix. And it must be that it's sort of like when Medivac you talk, which is fine. It goes bah! So then everybody else is slightly.
I had to crank up my my mic for my
And Longshanks
D&D session.
Longshanks, you're the quietest, and then there's sort of like
now I've moved my mic about 3 inches closer to my face.
sometimes
so
that is actually
that's a little
it.
bit better.
So, but yeah, I just turn you up on my board, and that's it. Okay
I
then.
turned mine down to 85%.
Oh, 85%. That might
She
do.
can't take no more.
Yeah, so we're currently into part 3 of a series of encounters. Basically, there's almost like 3 storylines going on at the same time. So I'm going to briefly just tell you whereabouts we are up to in each one. So the first one was that the party were asked to meet a trader from Airwood, which is a new a village or town to the southwest that the Merchant Guild wanted to actually promote trade with. Airwood is very much to do with lumber, and Lindowe is a town that is on the coast, and so they're looking to invest in shipbuilding. And anyway, when the trading party arrived, a lad, an apprentice, a business partner called Zach arrived and took the party to the docks. And at the docks, they met for a brief moment Neville, who was Zach's boss, for want of a better word. So Neville then got killed by 2 monsters that came out of the water and grabbed him and speared him and shoved a trident through his face, and then they escaped. So the guild Zach then went to the guild, and the guild sort of like said to the party, what are you doing? Where's Neville? This boy can't do anything. He can't sign a contract. He has no idea what we're going to do. And at that moment, the party almost like split, and Hazra and Cyrus went off in one direction, and Bartleby and Hengist went off and bought something to try to charm the guild, the Merchant Guild, back onto their side. And that led to the second storyline. These devils that had come out of the water that killed Neville, it appeared that it's been happening along the docks for some time. And Bartleby, being the saviour of the slums, the protector of the weak, managed to calm a crowd and said that he would do something about it. The third storyline that seems to be happening is that while Zach first came into the Hairy Hobgoblin, the party recognised 2 people who were looking a bit shifty, sat over on a table. And it was only the next day that they saw these 2 people, again, these 2 mercenaries. Cyrus and Hazra followed them, and with luck managed to get a table right next to where they were camping out in a low-end sort of tavern. They overheard that they are obviously planning on some kind of a trip. Not sure where to, but really sort of like identifying that they were going to go, that they had everything and all the stuff had been, supplies had been got together as well. the party re-adjourned to the hairy hobgoblin to sort of like communicate and share what was happening. And as they were doing this, the doors of the hairy hobgoblin burst open, and in came a throng of slum dwellers, or the poor. And one of the women at the front was holding her daughter, who had several gashes down her leg, the daughter that is. And they came to find Bartleby because sadly the daughter had been got by the devils that Bartleby had promised to disperse or rid the town of. And yeah, and that's where we left it. Now there is another character, another token on the board. This one here. This is Ben. Ben is a flex character, so he doesn't do normally anything until combat arrives or something like that. Bartleby normally controls him. But if anybody was interested in actually coming along for a game, then that would be the character you would be playing. Okay, so I think that's everything. I think we're ready to probably make a go of it. Yeah? Any questions before we start? Yeah.
I have one.
Yeah.
So the girl is obviously dead.
No.
Last time I wrote that there was a question, she seemed like she could be alive.
Yeah. Well, currently, her mom is bringing her to you. You notice that Basil's looking quite fraught and is sort of like looking around, and because as her mother brings the girl across, you notice that there's several big gashes in her leg, and one seems to be leaking blood quite prolifically. And Basil is sort of like seeing this, almost like not this pale red, this deep red arterial blood as it sort of like splatters onto the floor. You're not too sure whether or not a major artery, I mean, it's not spraying yet. She looks, as she comes over to you, she looks exceptionally pale. She looks clammy, looks like she's sweat's breaking out, all her hair is bedraggled. She looks quite clean, but not posh, if that makes sense. She's in rags, and all the people are sort of like clambering round, and they're sort of like circling round the table, and her mother, who's obviously been crying profusely, her face is she has tear lines down her dirty cheeks and everything, and she sort of like just looks at you, Bartleby, and sort of like says, "Please save my daughter. She's the only thing I care for."
Well, Bartleby is going to snap to it. He's trying to keep calm because I know at the end of the last session that was a panic surprise of all this. But Bartleby remembers his training, and he wants to assume the worst, I guess, and use his most powerful healing miracle, which of course
Nice.
is this. Yeah, it can stabilize major wounds.
Yeah.
Here is my exhort roll. Amriel, you like children?
Oh yes, yeah. That comes out nicely. So what actually? How does Amriel's healing magic manifest itself in this situation?
Well, this one's much more dramatic than my folk magic prayer spell.
Does the roof burst open? So like a beam of light comes out,
like at the front of the bar, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
The roof doesn't explode, but I think it'd be very plausible that you can see the moon glowing brighter from the light coming through the windows outside, and maybe one beam hits Bartleby's hand at just the right angle, so it looks like it's glowing almost. Then he puts his hand and just kind of gently glides like an inch over the wound.
Yeah,
wiping it away.
I imagine it's the window is probably behind you, So as you're doing the healing magic and the moon is sort of like streaming through the window, it almost like halos behind you, you know, as if you're bathed in Amriel's light, and everybody's going, oh, you know, and there's that faint sound of
The angelic chorus.
yeah in the
I mean, I was
background.
like looking, I was like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
No, Medivac.
And Cyrus sees the moonbeam and sort of like going, oh, whoop, 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 whoop. starts to make like shadows on Bartleby's. Here's a butterfly on Bartleby's back. Yeah, so it just so you know, you realise that it is a significant major wound. Her leg was almost like raked off. You can see the claw marks as if something I saw like grabbed it in double-handed grip and then pulled down the leg. And you notice that the healing magic sort of like cauterizes the wounds and stops this heavy bleed, but it doesn't completely seal the wound. And the girl, who was almost like her breathing was very shallow and very sparse, you notice that it almost like comes to a more regular beat and a rhythm. And her mother looks down and to you, Bartleby, and sort of like says, will she live?
I think she will. I should probably give you some spare bandages just in case the wound reopens. Bartleby starts digging through his healer's kit, but then stops and says, We should all thank Amriel, though, for her protection here. And understand that I have been working as quickly as I can to assemble the best team to handle this situation. I've got Hengist the Knight, Hazra the Warrior from the Woods, and Cyrus the Powerful Sorcerer.
Yeah, you can...
That would be an oratory, maybe?
Well, you can... I think that you... Are you being deceitful here? This is what...
Oh, no, I'm Bartleby believes in his allies, and more than anything, he's trying to reassure the crowd that we are on the case.
Okay, then, so you can make...
Bartleby has a lot of optimism. I think Cyrus might be deceitful, though.
Yeah, in which case...
I'll roll to see.
In which case, you can roll your influence roll, which you can augment with your oratory.
Oratory is 52. Shoot, does that give me a 12 or
Yeah,
math?
12, yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess I could have clicked on my token like an adult, but that brings me up to 63. Here's my influence. Can I use a point of luck to give a reroll?
Yeah, and remember, everybody, your luck will be back up to normal.
Brings me down to 2 luck remaining.
Oh!
Nobody believes in me.
And you sort of like the mother seems to be quite happy, but there seems to be mutterings in the crowd, and you hear people sort of like saying, "If he had done something but straight away, none of this would have happened. I hope he realises that this girl's life's on his conscience. Yeah, we were out there dying and he's just sat here with his friends drinking and having a fun time." And you Bartleby, you hear these. The rest of you probably don't acknowledge it, but it's sort of like muttered voices. And people are being careful not to allow you to hear. But you can sort of like hear them in the background muttering, and it gives you that slightly uneasy feeling that you may have been... Well, is it Bartleby's fault, or is it not Bartleby's fault that this has happened? And
He's hurt regardless.
The mother sort of like says, I have a few silver pieces if that would do to pay for your help.
No, it's not necessary. I don't take money for helping those in need, and I'm convincing my cohorts to do the same. Bartleby will give a glance at Cyrus in particular.
So, yeah, Cyrus was too busy looking at something completely. Yeah, and she sort of like looks at you and says, shall I take her home? Or shall I take her somewhere else?
I think home might be best for her after taking such an injury, but it would help me and my cohorts, who are all very thrilled to fight some sea devils, where this unfortunate event happened. Maybe we can start from there, if you can lead us.
My dwelling is quite humble, Master Bartleby, and quite cold and dark and dirty. Will she be all right in such conditions?
Well, we don't want an infection to occur. If you go to the Church of Amriel, and tell them that I've promised a room in the hospital or hospice for you.
A hospice.
They have like a place where people can not
Where the
hospice,
Lindoweans go to pass away.
Some Tory.
like a medic. No, that wouldn't be a medic bay.
Yeah, Meg Babe. Sure. We'll go
Yeah,
with that.
they have
Sounds full
some, probably not a hospice, but more of a recuperating place, so to recover. And she sort of like says, thank you very much. And an old man says, I'll come with you, Meg. I'll come with you. Oh, thank you. It's so kind that somebody... Could you take an arm or something? She is so heavy. And the old man says, yes, I'll take an arm. And sort of like supports an arm that sort of like has drooped down. And the congregation sort of like turns round and starts to file out. Almost like the Pied Piper of Hamelin as they walk out, and they also like look at you, and so, some of them sort of like nod in approval, or maybe some religious bow and acknowledgement, but some of them you see give you strange sideways looks as if to say, it's your fault you did this. And they sort of like go out. And as they're all leaving, you can hear Basil saying, thanks, do come again anytime you want, just drop blood all over my floor. Yeah, anytime you want to. Oh, you're not buying anything, you're just leaving, are you? Yeah, well, thank you. This is just what I wanted on a night like this. Meg, get the floor cleaned before somebody slips on that blood and causes damage to the furniture. And the barmaids come along and start to mop up the blood that's now been stretched, and from the table when she was healed right the way to the doorway, as they filed out to move their feet in it. And sort of like she sort of said, I think we'll need a big mop rather than our hand. Well, go and get the mop then. And they sort of like start to mop up the blood, which really is not mopping up at all. They're actually spreading it out, smearing it around to actually, so it's not so concentrated in one spot. And they're sort of like, there's water and blood and diluted blood and bits of flesh going all over the place. But the people in Hairy Hobgoblin, they're clientele are quite used to this sort of thing, and many of them have now sort of like thought, well, that'll give me something to say to the wife when I go home tonight, and I'll back eating and drinking. And
it's Basil's way of staining the wooden floor.
Yeah. It was getting too raggedy.
Yeah, it's now a rich, deep mahogany.
That's right.
All right, so what are we doing? We're going to kill some devils, or we're going to follow our new buddies out of town?
Cyrus, we need to tell them about our meeting at the Bawdy Dwarf, where we followed those people, and they talked about, yes, you were right, leaving Lindowe tonight at 10 o'clock. It was 9:55, I think they said, which is pretty accurate for these days.
It's very accurate.
Yes.
I'm very appreciative that they were so open to each
Yes.
other about when they're gonna meet and leave places.
What was the time? Sorry, that
Very
Well,
convenient.
9:55 I put down, which is you probably said right before the doors locked for the night. The
Yeah.
gates locked for the night.
I think I might be saying 9:55 as in it's 5 minutes before the end, but
But they seem to be very well.
You probably
with
said,
weapons.
do they say when they're going? And I've said, well, it's 9:55, so it's 9:55. Yeah,
They
but
have
you are
weapons,
right.
they have
10,
knives and-
yeah, 10 bells
o'clock is when it-
is when the outer gates are closed. Yeah.
That's right.
So we have two options. We can go kill these devils and waste our time with that, or try to do both. I don't know. I feel like I don't know, something in me. It's definitely in me and not some exterior force, because that's all make believe. But something in me is telling me that they're up to something that I think we should probably watch and or infringe upon.
Well, Sarah, do you remember they were talking about the weapons and knives and spears and the large payoff they were going for? So yes, I think we all need to follow them, but it's whether they were going tonight, weren't they?
Yeah.
What time is it now, Amriel? Sorry.
It's probably just about 7 bells. They won't. It's not late. You all sort of like came back from your various places, so it's the only thing that I will. Hazra, you're probably very good at following them, especially once you leave Lindowe. However, I'm not too sure.
Ross Bucket Hengist over here.
Yeah.
Clank, clunk, clunk, clink. Break
And-
a tree.
And remember if Amriel
I
is
wish I had a brain.
a heart. Amriel might be. You might have the look of Amriel, and there might be a full moon tonight that's actually providing light, but that could also be seen as a
Negative.
negative.
That's only when they're expecting someone to be following them.
Well, to be fair, does the people of Lindowe, with Bartleby here in a sense of what Bartleby thinks, perhaps maybe the people of Lindowe have our priority. We know these people are leaving tonight through that gate there, and maybe we could deal with the docks and the poor people and make sure nobody's harmed there, and then maybe go out later through the night and follow these people afterwards. For the good, they will have a good lead on us, but wagons and people carrying this amount of equipment will leave a big mighty track, I would have thought.
Possibly. That's but I think, yeah, honestly, let's just go with that.
And we know they're going to Airwood, don't we? Because that was what
How
they
far is
said.
Airwood from here?
It's about. It depends whether or not you want to walk or ride or wagon. All distances in Lindowe are done on the amount of days it takes you to get there. So it would probably take you a full week to get from Lindowe to Airwood. The people who have been to the Library of the Mystics, that's roughly about halfway between Lindowe and Airwood. So
All right. So make sure we're all ready if we do decide to do this. But at the same time, we can also maybe increase our possibility if we grab a few horses.
Before we get dedicated to this, the crime that we're investigating them for is that you got
Circumstantial.
suspicious that they got weapons. I'm fairly certain we've had a number of meetings in the Harry Hobgoblin where everybody's mentioned their weapon.
yeah.
You just today, Hazra was mentioning. His
I'm
short
currently
spear
sharpening
when-
my glaive.
Oh, that
I
sort
think-
of weapon we're talking about.
So it was not Cyrus polishing his weapon.
Yes.
So I'm just not certain that they're anything other than the standard guards and mercenary riffraff that you'd find in that part of town.
And
But-
honestly, typically I would agree with you, but the person we were supposed to protect in this trade deal, isn't he from Arrowwood?
Yes.
This is true.
Yes, but
Do
there are also
you not find it convenient that the people that we're trying to protect us from the same city that we're trying to protect a deal from, and we don't know what that person is? Maybe that person's on his way to Airwood, and these people are who were following his partner might be trying to make this deal a little more convenient for the other party.
But
Oh,
they didn't kill Neville. It was the Sea Devils down on the dock.
Hmm.
And
That's because they
I've never read a story about training Sea Devils to work with people, except to work with, like, eating
Hengist.
people.
Hengist, why would
Hengist
people-
always, I always imagine Hengist looking really shocked when they're sort of like discussing tactics, and all of a sudden they go, Hengist, what do you think? I can hit,
I wasn't listening.
I can hit things, that's what I do.
Hengist, what is your take on these things? Of the fact that these 4 men are traveling to Airwood with weapons, knives, and spears, expecting a large payoff. What would you read into this?
Well, they could be up to mischief, but then equally they could be like us, just doing
Polishing
doing
our
a job.
weapons.
They could be doing a legitimate job to protect someone and collect someone. I don't feel we know enough really to make a decision that they are up to nefarious deeds.
I
But
agree.
these river or sea devils or sea goblins or whatever they're called, they've killed a few people now and then maimed this young girl. I do feel this. And Mr. Bartleby, of course, has also given his word to the people of Lindowe that he'll have this stopped. So I feel we should definitely be looking into that first at this point.
I myself will bow to your superior knowledge in this, and I agree. We can always catch up with these traders later.
Just before you go any further, I'd just like to remind you of the point that they were actually in the Hobgoblin.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
Yeah,
There's 2 of them in the Hobgoblin.
when Zach arrived.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they were also
And they were
somewhere
staring.
else as well. I'm sure. Oh no, we went away, then we came back and they were there again.
So
The other guy was named Neville, right?
Neville
No,
was,
Neville was the
Neville.
boss
business
then.
person.
We
yeah.
also have
He died.
to bear in mind that the chap is also is it Zach Inwills? You've said his name a couple of times. I think
Yeah.
it's gone one ear and out the other. Zach.
Yeah.
Zach is also now the guest of Count Bastian, so he would be under Count Bastian's protection. So I doubt that those two.
Well, hold on. We
be
were
able to get
told
through
that.
to him.
We were told that, but we never saw him to be
Yes.
within Cap Bastian's
He
protection.
yelled at the merchants.
They deserve it. They're trying to screw us over.
They definitely deserve it, but we need to beat them at their own game.
Honestly, they're lucky I didn't do anything worse. That's what I think.
They are lucky, but that
Very lucky.
I just
Back
so
in- back
imagine.
one day to find his castle like
I
smoldering.
All
I
I'm trying to
just
say, their nice little pretty dresses look very flammable. That's all I'm trying to say.
Sorry, Wills, can I just ask you Sid was? I've got it written down here.
Sid is the
Oh, yes.
guild merchants leader. He was the person that you went to see, and then the second in command was a woman who I forget her name. That Rose. That
By any other name.
Bartleby and Hengist went back to actually talk about. You could, and I'm not saying you need to do this, but you could see whether or not the mercenaries actually do leave and on time or whatever. You've still got time to do that before you go down to if you're going to go down to the docks tonight, or you can go to bed, sleep through the night, and then get up. Magic points and devotion points will be back up to full. Luck points they go from session to session, so everybody have full luck points apart from Bartleby, who's used one. So you could do that. Bartleby did notice at the end of last adventure, I think you rolled a commerce skill, because you suddenly realise that it would be totally. It doesn't seem to be appropriate for a trade agreement that would be normally written up by the guild merchants to go to Count Bastion. That almost like, if you remember last week, we were saying that that's almost like too far removed. Why would the Count be involved in a simple trade agreement?
Yeah.
And Bartleby, you sort of like got the feeling that you might have been, and I can't remember whether or not you told people this, because I could just imagine Cyrus's face if you had done, because you almost like feel you've been conned a bit, you know, even though you bought a nice vase and orchid for the guild merchants that you got for a really good price, you know, but your peace treaty or your peace offering.
Inwills.
Yeah.
Does the guild still owe us that favour, or did we cash that in the other week when I wasn't here?
You probably cashed that favour in when half the guild were butcher.
I didn't know. As I said, I missed that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it had been cashed in or not. If it's been cashed in, that's fine.
And I think it was I think originally the merchants, the guild, a merchants guild sort of like said to you, you know, you can be involved in this trade, and thank you for going to pick up Neville. Because if you remember, initially you were meant to meet Neville, but only Zach turned up at the Hairy Hobgoblin, and then he took you to Neville. And if I remember correctly, Bartleby did a wonderful job at guiding them back to the location of Devil's ultimate demise.
Just why was Neville there in the first place at the docks?
So
Why wasn't he with
if
Zach?
you remember, he had gone on ahead because they had hired or rented a warehouse space.
A warehouse, that's right, yes.
You know,
Or
and
the lumber to be put in.
yeah, and when they got to the guards coming into the town, if you remember, the guild merchants left message there. And so what you think would have happened is that Neville sort of like said to Zach, go and pick these people up while I go down to the guild the warehouse that they've rented. And hence everything came like that.
Sorry, I missed out that one thing.
No worries.
All right, so you guys want to do both, or just do one? We can go kill some devils, beat them to a pulp, show our prowess, and be protectors of the city, and then do our little thing and follow those weirdly creepy and very suspicious, definitely merchants.
But what I would suggest perhaps is myself, I go down to the gate and I will maintain watch there and see if they go through the gate. I have a rough idea which gate they will go through. It's the one to the north, if memory serves me. To
It
north.
is, yeah.
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 And you should all get rest. I don't know if Hengist needs to rest, or maybe he could. I don't know what Hengist does, but maybe he could ask around, or perhaps do something, or get some rest yourself. Because I intend to go, once I've been to the gate, I intend to go through the gate and get a little rest myself. And then we can concentrate perhaps on the devils, these water goblins that so nefariously jumped up and killed Neville. And then that way we can work on maybe following these other people later if they have gone. Because it will be a slow road.
Yeah, but don't you think they'll have a, like, I don't mind, I don't care at this point, but don't you think they'll have a huge advantage when it comes to how far the distance between us?
No. We are not carrying multiples of weapons or in a very slow wagon. We can go ahead. We know this way. We have been this way before, so we know the roads. We can hopefully catch up with them, and it will be many days before they get to Airwood.
There is the other.
Or we can take a barge.
No, that's the wrong direction. This one, the road goes down to the southwest, and it's coast on one side, wood on the other side with mountains beyond. There is also the situation with Zach and the merchants, whether or not Bartleby and Hengers, you put a peace offering in. They originally were hiring you to actually do a job. It's whether or not you sort of like think, oh, well, forget about that now, or...
Maybe Hengist can go to Camp Bastions and find out if Zach is really there under his protection while broken his peace treaty.
The guards will love you, Hengist, don't worry.
But he's a man of noble lineage. He should be fine.
I'm just hesitant to leave Lindowe when I've made promises
No,
to people
no,
to
we are
solve
not.
issues.
We are not leaving Lindowe. We are. I am going to go wait at the gate and see where these people are going, and then I will come back. While you rest, you pray to Amriel. You do what you do, Bartleby, and make yourself strong for tomorrow.
I don't think I need a
then
rest. I think I need to let off some steam and murder something. So
How about
three. Let's you three, at least, and maybe even what's his face, Ben here. Let's go kill some devils.
I think that's a wise idea, Cyrus. If we go and look for these sea devils tonight, then we can stop them once and for all. Because the night is yet young. They've already attacked one young girl. Who knows how many more times they could attack again tonight?
We can only let Bartleby ruin our
And,
name
and Mr. Bartleby is
for only so long.
so much stronger at night as well, with Amriel
True.
gazing down on him.
All right, let's do that. If you would like, go ahead and hang out at the side of the gate. We'll take care of this.
Go for it.
Hazra is going to be a little bit shocked in a sense and say, but we're still going to deal with these creatures. I was going to go to the gate until 10 o'clock tonight, till 10 bells, see if they go through, and then we could go deal with these water demons.
It's only 7 o'clock. Let's go kill demons now.
But I need to make sure these wagons don't
7
go.
bells.
What Hazra wants to do is he wants to go to the gate that he thinks this wagon's going to go from.
Yeah.
If possible, he wants to... this is going to be bad. This is not Hazra. No, he's not. Yeah, he's going to go to the gate and watch the gate. I was going to pay off a guard and see if he could...
Oh.
But Hazra wouldn't do that. He'd do it himself.
Okay.
So you could always send a bluebird after us if something happens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay then. So it's probably after this discussion. It's probably about an hour before 10 bells actually happens, Hazra. So you can make your way through. Would you like to wait inside the city or outside the city?
I want to be inside the city because I
Cool.
don't want to be trapped outside.
Okay.
Even though I probably know a few ways in after 10.
Oh yeah, you probably doesn't. Just as Cyrus knows a few ways to get in after. Yeah. Okay then. So the only difference would be your stealthiness.
Stealth check. Yes, I know. Yeah. Outside, I'm perfect. Inside, I'm like, it's a tree. No, it's a building.
Yeah. So inside, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
saying
And then the other four of you, Ben, Bartleby, Cyrus, and Hengist, you're heading down to the docks. If that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. So what's going to be your plan? Obviously, if I just bring you onto the map of Lindowe, you should be able to see it. So just so people know, and make sure you've zoomed out. Yeah. So that where Hazra is pinging, that's the gate that the people are going to leave. So this then turns around and goes round the edge of the city and then out. This is the gatehouse that leads up to Ubin Falls or the Lonesome Bridge, etc. This, just in case you don't know, that's Count Bastion's accommodation. And so there's actually two entrances down into the docks and the slums. So there's this entrance here that is mainly for trade and almost like the posh end. This is the docks that the party originally arrived at with Captain Seatide, and this is where they arrived and went through that gate. This is the gate that is more kept under close scrutiny because they don't want the riffraff from the slums infiltrating the more respectable areas. So the three of you plus Ben, what's going to be your plan?
Well, you guys know the city. Well, probably not actually. Maybe they don't. But you guys know the city more than I.
Yeah, Bartleby's the one who knows the most.
I assumed that Bartleby would kind of do what he regularly does with the lower Lindowe area is go about and check in on people and I was thinking maybe streetwise or influence to try and get any details about if anybody's seen the Sea Devils to help point to a direction where we would be going to investigate maybe.
Okay. So let's do Hazardous first. So just make for me a stealth roll as you try to find it. It'd be hard because you're inside the city, but roll away.
Oh.
You can use a point of luck.
I'm not going to use a point of luck because he thinks he's well hidden.
Okay then. So you actually sort of like get somewhere close to the gatehouse and in the shadows of a local building or overhang of something, and you do see the merchants, the mercenaries setting off. You actually hear them first because there seems to be a clip-clop of horses' hooves on the actual stone cobbles within Lindowe, and you notice that there's actually 6 of them. You notice that their saddlebags are full of bedrolls. You can see. So actually, make me a perception check. Just normal. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Let's see what you actually see.
Oh, just 91 out of 92.
That's good.
Perfect roll.
Yeah, 92 would have been better, but that's it.
Yeah.
So you notice that you don't think, Hazra, that they look as if they're going on a journey. They've got too many. You can see the hilts of swords sticking out of saddlebags. They seem to be wearing almost like blackened leather. They definitely got some kind of armor on, and they have helmets or skull caps as well. And although you can see on their belt they're carrying knives, or they have swords in the saddlebags, and they're looking very proficient. You actually notice that as they leave the gatehouse and to go onto the open road, they're actually riding in single file. They're not actually going double, and you know this is a regular how people hide their numbers. And
some people did that, didn't they?
Yeah, in Star Wars, yeah. And so they're sort of like back, and you notice that there's 6 of them all together. And the interesting thing is, and your roll, because it's so good, actually allows you to see this as they approach the gate. And it's you think it's actually after 10 bells. You actually think the time has gone. You probably were thinking, oh, that nothing's going to happen. We're preparing to leave. And then you heard the sound. And it's very difficult to see. And you're not too sure what was in it. But as they pass through the gate, the lead rider drops from his hand into the hand of the guard a small pouch. And it's very fluid what happens, and there's no pause. It's the guard obviously knew it was coming because he had his hand out ready for it. It wasn't, oh, don't try to grab it. And it looks like it was either well practiced or they're quite used to doing this.
Yeah.
And they ride through the gate and just slightly outside. And again, because, I mean, 92 would have been better, but 91's pretty good. You do hear that, sure as they're out of the gate, the horses' hooves pick up. And they've started to, maybe not gallop, but definitely canter. And as soon as the last person goes out the door, the two guards close the gate behind them and drop the bar over it. And then they sort of like go into the tower, and then they go up onto the battlement along the top to start watch.
Right.
Is there anything Haswell would like to do?
Hazard would have followed them, but he doesn't have a horse at the moment. So with this knowledge, he's going to go and head to the docks in the hope of finding
Okay, yeah.
to update them on what he's just seen.
Okay, so back at the docks, I presume you're coming through this gate?
That's what I was assuming.
Yeah. Okay, and as you get closer and closer and closer to the gate, obviously it's close to 10 bells, and you sort of like go round the corner as you make your way, and you notice that the guards on the actual gate see you coming. Walking around Lindowe is probably fine, light-wise. You know, there's lanterns hanging outside shops, etc. It's not perfect vision, but you do know, Bartleby, this is something that this is a luxury that the slums can't afford. Yes, you might see a burst of light if a tavern door is open to chuck an undeserving customer through it, but beyond the city walls, it looks quite dark. It's not pitch black, but it is dark. And as you sort of like come towards the gate, the two guards are there. And yeah, roll your friendliness to the guards. Let's see if they actually recognize you. Yeah, you sort of like come up and yeah, what would you like to do?
Bartleby always carries around candles and a lantern because of how dark the lower Lindowe can get when he needs to follow a vague image Amriel's given. So he's probably looking down and looking a little out of sorts to these guards. So even if they did know him, they might not recognize him here. But he's trying to get his lantern set up, and by the time he gets it sort of working and lit, he'll say to the guards, I guess distractedly, we're looking to go handle the Sea Devil issue down in lower Lindowe. Would you let us through?
Yeah, and as you sort of like come towards them, the guard, who seem to be originally looking out to the slums, but as they're preparing the gate, they turn around, they see you coming, and they go, "Halt! You can't go through there. We're about to lock the gates."
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, well, sometimes guards and I in Lindowe have an agreement that because I'm going down to help rid problems in slums, that you might be willing to let me through.
I'm going to butt in.
I always feel somebody should be holding Cyrus's arms at this point.
I'm going to butt in. Hey guys, I know you're just doing your job. There was a lot of issues earlier today with something called Sea Devils, and as the protectors of Lindowe.
Lindowe.
Lindowe, whatever. But as the protectors of Lindowe,
the guard says,
decided to come in.
Sorry, sir, have you been drinking? Have you been drinking?
Yes, of course I've been drinking the entire time leading to this.
And
I went to 2 different taverns drinking.
They sort of like look at you and sort of like says, And you are who?
I'm Cyrus of the Order of the Phoenix, man. Do you not notice who I am?
Well, we can tell
I'm gonna do an influence roll.
to
Influence roll to influence my
that they
my
know
demeanor
you,
as a mage of the
or that they should let you through.
influence that of myself.
Okay.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do
Do
not
you have
know who I am?
just out of interest? Do you have a passion to do with Order of the Phoenix?
No.
No. Okay.
No, the only passion is the negative passion, which is the hatred of merchants. But
Yeah, these are not
willing to
merchants.
do the Order
But
of
what
Phoenix.
one of their fathers is. No.
Oh,
One of
Bob.
their
Yeah,
father's
Bob's,
fathers.
But Bunny Box has just put a wonderful question in: for the ego or for the cause? I
Yes.
think probably ego. Yeah, go for it.
Ego for sure, but ego might support the cause. See, that's what matters. Oh, that's not good.
No, that's not good.
Actually, I'm gonna do a roll. I'm gonna do a roll of luck and reverse that.
Reverse it. Now that is lucky because they actually that will give you 29, which is more than my 20. So even though we've both succeeded because it's an opposed roll, yours would go and. Somebody, maybe the other guard, sort of like says, "Oh yeah, I heard about your these red robes things, and that somebody was new in town. Are you the new guy?"
Yeah, well, for the area, I'm definitely not new to what I do.
Can you set fire to things then?
I'm assuming Bartleby's holding his. Actually, no, I'm just gonna do this. Screw it. I'm gonna plant my glaive in the ground and do the cool thing. I'm gonna do a flaming blade, I think it's called.
Okay, so you could probably. It's cobblestone, so your glaive won't plant, but you can hold it in. You only need one hand free for spell casting. So you
this
can.
is what it looks like. Fireblade, blah blah blah.
Nice.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, and you sort of go, and they tell me what it looks like.
It literally just like from the hilt up, it just the blade itself on the glaive, the top part, will just envelop in flame.
Okay.
Like it itself, yeah. Like it itself is just full of gasoline. I've dipped in gasoline all day.
Yeah, and
So,
the guards sort of like take a step back, and they go, "Wow, bet you're useful to have in a fight, aren't you?"
Never had any complaints.
Hengist, can you just roll your famed warrior skill? Yeah, they're just ignoring you.
I think it's fine with that. They're only town guards after all.
Yeah, and it essentially sort of like says, what's it? I bet one of the guys says, "Oh, I know you. I wish you well." Yeah, you could have saved him. And he's sort of like, "Yeah, I've always heard that these red-robed mages, these battle mages, are quite formidable. You're obviously obviously you're not going to get any issues going around the slums with you around."
I was wondering if we're just here to take care of him and try to protect the city from these apparent water demons or devils or whatever you want to call them. I was wondering if you could let us go by, kind of like search the place, see, make sure everything's going good, then let us come back in when we're done.
Yeah, and when you were saying that, they sort of like stop and look somewhat puzzled, and one of them says, "I think we protect the city. We're like guards."
Yeah, and we're just doing the area that we're just trying to honestly make your job a little easier.
Well, our job tonight is just closing the gate.
Well, then you won't have a problem with us going in there
Well,
and then
if
come
you
back out, right?
if you want to go through, then that's fine. And one of them says, "I do think we protect the city. You know, I really think it's us that do all the hard work. You know, we'll just
do
let
I hear
them
him say
through."
this?
No, they just sort of like seem to be muttering. And then they sort of like says, yeah, okay then, you can go through. We'll see you in the morning. And I presume you all file through into the past the gate, and because it's so close to 10 o'clock, as you file out into the slum areas, you hear the gate closing behind you, and that sound of that bar being dropped across to secure it. And yeah, you're sort of like stood in the the area. Now let's just tidy this up, because Neville's dead. Hazra, I'll just put you onto my layer so you can't see it. Zach's not there. Bartleby, you've still got your torch, which is
the lantern, but yeah.
Yeah, and we're missing Hengist, I think. That's who we are missing, but I've got him here.
I also have my flaming weapon, so that should maybe give off a little light.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. There's Hengist. And let's give you a bit of light. Yeah, so you're busy. Everything's aglow. It'd probably give off about. Does it say in the spell description how?
Yeah, it says about a torch.
Yeah.
Amount,
So that's about 6 and 3. Player has side. Yeah. So you sort of like, all 4 of you sort of like head. If you'd like to rearrange yourselves, please do so. Do you all have control of your?
I can't see anything. All I've got is a black square.
Let's have a look.
It's in middle on the left side.
I'm going to
zoom.
I am going to all of a sudden give you.
I can see.
You can
I
see
think this
now.
opens his eyes.
Yeah. Can you? Sorry, Bartleby. What were you saying, Bartleby? Was Bartleby saying anything?
Sorry. What was that?
Did you say something?
Oh no.
Okay then. So if you'd like, can everybody move their tokens? That's the first thing.
Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, Bartleby, you should have control of Ben if you need to.
I do not.
Oh, hang on a minute. Then let me just.
Benjamin.
I could hear you clicking. And so like, don't have control of you. That's all correct. Edit. Ah, yes. Let's put Mr. Pickles in that. And you should be able to control him now.
No.
Let's have another look.
I can control me, but Ben is being very stubborn.
Very stubborn.
Typical follower of Maroth.
It says that it's actually can be edited and controlled by Mr. Pickles. So that's all right if you.
Oh, now I can.
Yeah, there you go. See, it just needed me to say it, and then that was it. Okay, yeah. So, Cyrus, you're walking around, which probably looks like a torch on a stick. At this point, you know, as if you're leading some kind of cult following around the slums, and Bartleby sort of like looking around you. You're sort of like hit there with this flaming brand. So I would like walk around, and Bartleby's there with his little lantern with a candle in it. Yeah. What would you like to do?
All right. Hengist, lead the way. You're the most armored, and if someone attacks, I want them to hit you.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
And I'll guide Hengist. I assumed the best method is to go down to the docks area, because sea devils should come from the water, most likely. And I don't know. I suppose if we see anybody who doesn't look wildly intoxicated, or like the people who have mugged me on 4 separate occasions.
Sorry about that.
Then thank you. Then we can ask them if they've seen anything.
Possibly, what was the name of the tavern lady that you know? Perhaps we could start there. See if she knows anything.
Marissa?
Do you?
I thought she was more inland, but that might be.
She's.
I have a friend here, a childhood friend, and we went our separate ways mostly. But I still keep in contact with her.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I also know Mick and Flynn, so that actually feels very good.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning. The tavern lady that introduced you to Mick and Flynn.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I
actually
was
might
thinking.
be a good resource to go into. Would that be in this part of the Lower Lindowe, or is that in the more posh docks area?
Her name is Melissa, and
Melissa, that's right.
she is owner of the Drowning Stallion. It's a good job I keep my notes up to date, isn't it?
I just haven't dealt with her in a long time.
I'm trying to decide who Eugene Floss is.
Eugene Floss?
Is
Yeah.
he a dentist?
He says, oh, I know who he was. Eugene Floss. It says Eugene is your typical round merchant. I tell you what, who it was. Can you remember when you went through the sewer system?
Yep.
And
It's him. Yes.
at the end of that, he's got. The only reason I remember is because he's got folk magic, and that was Eugene Floss.
Yes,
That's the
nasty
spell on
enemy.
Goalie.
We never knew his name. We now know his name.
Yeah, and that's it. Okay, so are you going to head out to Melissa's place? Is that going to be the?
Yeah, I'll lead the group there since they probably. Well, actually, Cyrus might know that bar.
Well, I mean, he probably. It's probably not the sort of bar that you would like to be in.
Definitely
Too
not.
cheap. Too cheap.
Well, the mugs are really filthy.
Yeah,
And the ale is more water than ale,
correct. It's quite.
with bonus rat tail.
Yeah, if you ask for one. Now you're. But I was just.
I'd like a beer with a bit of body.
Just get a rat's body just
Yeah.
floating in it.
That's right.
I was just checking. How long does your flaming brand last for? Concentration, custom Joe for transfer section, an entire scene or action, whichever. Yeah, okay then. So your flaming brand will probably still be in operation until you get to Melissa's place, and it's probably a good time to turn it off because it is fire, and of course the majority of the slums is actually made out of wood. Well, like most of Lindowe, it's oh, the time is 2020.
Very nice.
20
Gosh.
at the year 2020. How spooky is that? I love that.
Well, based
Oh
on
my
how
God,
spooky 2020 has been,
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, probably not a good omen. I don't know.
Oh,
It'd
my!
probably continue. It'd be like the new 13, to be honest.
I was sad to hear about your president, by the way.
We're
Well,
not.
each month's a
News.
different thing.
Fake
Wow.
news.
It's a Democratic hoax, guys. There's no way he has
It
it.
is.
Alright, it's
No.
a Democratic hoax.
And why isn't he using bleach?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh!
I don't know. He's not using bleach.
For-
right?
Perhaps that's why he had about 12 doctors give his presentation today.
It's,
Why does he shake his wife's hand instead of giving her like a kiss and a cuddle, like she did with the Republican person?
Obviously in the relationships because she is the dominant one.
oh,
Yeah.
just out of interest.
He needs permission to touch her
Just out of interest.
unless he used it as a safe word. So it's it's obvious. Okay, it's a very loving relationship, guys. You have no idea.
Can I
No,
just
no.
can I just say that for me it was 2020, and then for Bunny Box it was 2121. See,
Mine's 2022 now, so I'm way ahead of
101
you.
years.
you're out of it, Medivac. You have to wait. Okay, so you arrive at Melissa's place, and your flaming glaive, as you enter, sort of like puts it down, dissipates, and you lower your glaive to get through the small doors of the slum. And Melissa's bar seems to be full, but being full does not make it light or merry, or it's quite noisy at times, and people are shouting. You can obviously hear that people are getting drunk. But yeah, Melissa sees you, Bartleby, walk in, and she beckons you over to the counter. Hengist, let's roll your famed warrior. Oh, so she sort of like looks at you as if you're stirring a memory, then says, "No, can't be."
It's like a double take.
We have met before. So,
Yeah,
but it was a long time ago.
and she sort of like, "Were you that famous?" No, you're not. And she sort of like beckons you over, and then she signals to one of her like bouncers to clear a table, and he manhandles slumped sailors, etc., over the table and moves them out, and they all mutter and shout obscenities, but just move to the next table, or they're slumped down on the floor, and the barmaids who are busy working just step over them, as if it's quite normal. And Melissa sort of like signals you over to the table, and she takes that piece of cloth that all bar owners have tucked into their belt, and she takes it out. She doesn't wipe. She sort of like flicks it, trying to get whatever's on the table off it. And then she brings over 4 tankards of ale and slams them down on the table. And she says, "Bartleby, I haven't seen you for years, for donkeys. Where you been?"
Well, I've been so busy with the church and preparing for the Grand Council speeches, and it's been too long, though, Melissa, too long.
You seem to be having a grand life nowadays. We don't see you in the slums anymore. Have you gone off us?
Oh, no, quite the opposite. I'm working to get more funding from the council to come down to Lower Lindowe to give more opportunities to improve the infrastructure.
And she says,
Um,
she says, "Quickly, get down. Otherwise your head will be taken off by that flying pig." And everybody laughs. And she sort of like says, "Well, drink up. First one's on the house. After that, you're going to have to pay for it. And that includes your friends. And the weird boy with a scar across his head."
I thank you for your generosity, Melissa. And Bartleby will take a sip and then say, "We are here on business to protect Lower Lindowe, though. It seems that there's some problems around here with sea devils."
Duh, duh, duh. And everybody stops and
You can hear a
turns.
pin drop.
Yeah, no.
Yes, classic kid in the corner.
Linda.
Yeah, it's sort of like, see, and she goes, she says that fable story, Monsters of the Deep, that's nearly as worn out as, the story of Sewer Jack. I mean, we never believed that. And once people disbelieved it, he just disappeared. So do you believe in these sea devils?
Oh, well, you know me, Melissa. I always did enjoy my stories, but where there are stories, there's sometimes an element of truth, and people are being injured.
Yeah, stories. Could be an element of truth, and an element of strong alcohol as well.
It could be, but a woman brought in her injured daughter to the bar my friends and I were at. She had big, long wounds on her, as if something with claws
Her mother?
attacked her. The daughter.
Oh, She probably fell down somewhere.
Yeah, it could be. But I'd still like to investigate just in case. I take it you have heard nothing then, Melissa?
Well, you know, there's a normal talk about devils rising up out the sea, you know, or sewer jack taking somebody into the sewers. That hasn't happened for a long time, though. It seemed to be just like here today, gone tomorrow. No doubt in the next week it'll be something else. Probably flying bats or something.
Oh, let's hope not. When people tell stories, the sea devils rising out of the sea, is there ever any reason that's given?
Well,
Revenge?
She says, you probably... She says, why... Look, she says, if you're really... really committed to this idea, then, you know, I might know... There's a sailor who says that they were on his ship, if that makes any sense to you.
On his ship?
Yeah.
Like his cargo or his passengers?
I'll let him talk to you about it. His
Thank you, Melissa.
His name's One-Eye Jim. You'll find him down at the docks. He's probably just sitting around waiting for a captain to bring him onto his next ship.
I see. Well, that's very good to know.
Drink up. Hey,
Barleal.
hey, auburn hair. Oh, redhead. Drink up. Come on. Don't turn your nose up at it, mister. That's a fine mug of ale there.
That's what you call it, ale? All right.
It actually put airs on Bartleby's chest, that did.
All three
It's
of them?
true.
Drink up. That's the only one on the house. Do you want any food? She says to you, Bartleby.
No, we must be.
I'm like aggressively shaking my head.
We must be leaving after we finish this generous offer that you've given us. Got to see that One-Eyed Jim and all.
And she sort of like says, well, yeah, drink up. If you come back later on tonight, then, you know, it won't be on the house. You understand that? Not on the house.
I don't know how we could afford it. Ugh. Anyways, thank you for your hospitality, ma'am.
She sort of like, she looks...
We have something to do.
She looks at you and she says, Mom? Well, maybe alas, I'm certainly not a mom. And she turns to you, Sarah, and says, I'm beginning to like you. You're someone who I could get along well with. Reminds me of my... And she pauses for a moment and says, either me 4th or 5th husband. He was.
How many have you gotten to?
Well, I tend to lose them, Bartleby. Every now and again, get married
In the
and
sewers,
then...
like Sewer Jack?
No. What they don't like is a dominant woman, I think. But maybe you do. What's your name?
Jim.
Jim.
Yeah, name's Jim. It's. I know. I look like I'm definitely more exotic than that, but
Jim's fine
just
with
Jim.
me.
So when you go looking for me,
The thing
ask
is,
for Jim.
I like short names like that. Easier to shout out at those moments.
Oh, okay.
I went.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
I had a husband once called Bartholomew. Can you imagine that? That was a real mouthful. Oh, Bartholomew. Oh, Bartholomew. Oh,
just
Jim.
call him Bart, right? No. Okay.
Oh, Jim. And she winks at you and licks her lips.
Jim, I think we need to be going.
Yeah, let's get out of here, guys. Remember,
Yeah.
if you come looking for me, my name's Jim. Do not ask about anything else, or ask for anyone else. All right, guys, let's head out.
Yeah, and as you sort of like walk out, she turns around and she shouts, "Hey, Jim! If you ever want that weapon polished, you know where to come."
Oh, my.
Sorry, that was
I don't
somebody.
ever come
Somebody in chat said that, and I said I put I'm going to use it. I'm going to have to use it.
Cyrus is going to burn this place to the ground.
Yeah,
This does not need to-
and she sort of like gives you a nod, Cyrus, as you leave.
I definitely try my best to ignore it.
Yeah, just she seems interested. She was never interested in you, Bartleby, in that way.
She always beat me up when we were kids, so
Yeah, you're more a friend and colleague, and not the fifth husband. But it seems that she quite likes that fiery temperament. Interesting. So yeah, so is the idea now to go off and try to find the sailor,
One-eyed, whatever his
Jim.
name is.
One-Eyed Jim.
That's where I
you,
got Jim.
you literally took the name that she gave us.
Because
Thank
that's
you.
all.
Buy 2 gyms in one day.
The only thing he didn't do was go like this.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
She goes. She says, "Do you know?" She talks to the major. She says, "Do you know? I never had 2 gyms in one day." And then she pauses for a while and says, "Oh no, wait, I have." It was the third one that ruined the pattern. I tell you, 2 gyms and a bob, and
2 gyms and a bob.
they sort of like carry on cleaning. Yeah.
Why isn't Bob's your uncle?
Yeah, Bob's me uncle. Yeah. So off you go.
Alright.
So you set off down to the dock to try to find One-Eyed Jim, and it's past, so we're going to take the break. But how's we're going to come back to you straight away, because you're still in Lindowe, on the inside of the wall, and you've done your bit. So I'm more interested what you're going to do next. And while that's happening, the 4 of you will walk to the dock, and hopefully using your best skill rolls and using luck, you might find One-Eyed Jim, who shares the name with Cyrus. So yeah, whenever anybody calls you and says, "What's your name, Cyrus?" you're just going to have to say, "Jim." You know.
Only when someone I don't want to speak to ever.
Yeah.
It's Jim.
And Ben turns to you and says, "Thought your name was Cyrus."
Shut up.
And you were
Yeah.
Jim once.
You sound like
Cyrus,
you sound like
kidding.
you say, "Shut up, Ben," and he says, "Sorry, Jim. Sorry."
We gotta find a bed for the night.
Yeah. Okay
We're
then.
going back to that bar, Cyrus.
Cyrus,
We're going to get our
there's
beds.
a
I'm going to
message.
climb the walls.
There's a message left for you at the Drowning Stallion. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, so we will be back at 45 minutes past the hour. So yeah, come back then, and we'll see what happens with Hazra, who's stuck inside, and whether or not Melissa from the Drowning Stallion gets her way with Jim before the night is out. Have a break, have a Kit Kat, and we'll be back soon.
hamster, sorry, not
Is that his name?
Massive
Please tell me
rat.
that's his
we're,
name.
we're actually
Man,
live,
it's-
by the way. We are
it's
live, so
man.
just so you know.
All right. So anyway, I found out today she's bought a bloody rabbit, and I'm like, but you can't have pets.
Straight up,
And,
that's all it was.
So why can't you have Mandy? And she's like, well, Mandy's not living the high life with you. And I'm like, no. So when she goes to uni and go to wherever to do her masters, she won't be able to have the rabbit there. So chances are we're going to get a bloody rabbit. I feel like Dr. Doolittle.
There's a lot of blood involved here, is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a nice casserole, I'll tell you that.
And
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Hamster and
Yeah.
rabbit casseroles, a specialism.
Yeah.
yeah, and Captain
Yeah.
Kangaroo.
I've got the budgies, I've got the birds, I've got the dog, I've got a hamster, and I will soon have a rabbit.
The next time somebody says to Cyrus, "Sorry, what is your name?" He's going to say, "Mandy." Mandy. was the last name that he heard.
Anyway,
Yeah, huh?
I've got a huge favour to ask.
Oh, go on.
Can you look after my pet rock?
And I've got a bloody rock.
I'll put him. I'll send him first class.
So much blood. So much blood.
I inherit all the stewed stuff.
So, getting back to the point, the adventure, Hazra, what would you like to do?
Hazra would like to go to the Hairy Hobgoblin first and speak to Basil, to ask Basil if there is any way he knows to get into the slums of Lindowe at this time of night.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he might know some
He sort
wayward kin.
like us. The Hairy Hobgoblin is still in full swing. You know, everybody's still drinking and eating. And, you know, the first thing that Hazra notices with his keen eyesight is when he walks in that the floors are slightly different stain colour in certain patches. But people are still walking up and down on it. And there's sort of like, I want Basil to join the adventure one time. Yeah, that'd be fun. And he sort of like says, you know, he's sort of like, well, welcoming you. Sort of like say, is there any, you know, way to sort of like get a...
Basil, my friend, my friends have gone into the slums of Lindowe near the dock.
They've gone into the slums?
I know. They are doing something that we all wished we could help and save people there. And I need to find a way in there myself to come to join them, to lend them my hand.
But the gates are closed.
I know, my friend, but do you know by perchance that another way into the docks of Lindowe for this time of night?
It says,
Have you ever had a shipment of goods you needed bringing through?
he looks shocked. Hazra, I am not that kind of innkeeper. I am respectable, he says. I'm respectable.
Perhaps, Basil, if for example, if you weren't, or maybe if one of your colleagues, your fellow innkeepers, perhaps may know of a way.
Listen, and he sort of beckons you towards him. He says, "There's 3 ways of getting over the wall." He says, at late at night, you know, and please do not share this information with anyone. This is just,
my friend, I will not.
Yeah.
My lips are sealed.
it's only because you're a friend and you bring me good.
Especially anyone named Jim. Don't share it with
No, nobody could Jim.
And he says, it's only because you bring me nice rabbits, etc. He says, right, he says, there's 3 ways. The first way, he says, you can bribe the guards at the gate. He says, sometimes I find that, you know, if I slip them a few coins and they are off, the sort of like guards who will be bribed, then they'll let you out. Of course, if you try to bribe them and they're not the sort of guards that like to be bribed, then you'll probably end up in their cell overnight. Yeah, I've done that before. Anyway, second, he says, the second way to do it is to scale the walls. Yeah, you heard me. Climb over them. Yeah, there's some houses that are quite near to the actual wall. You can either jump or scale it up. He says, but maybe don't go where there is a gate. You know, go somewhere else to climb over. And finally, the third way of getting across over the wall or through the gate.
You're going to tell me you have a secret passage in your cellar that goes there, aren't you?
Well, he says, It's not in my cellar, but there is a secret passage. So I've been told. But there's a problem, you see. There's only, allegedly, that's a mighty big word for me, but anyway, there is, allegedly, a secret tunnel that goes from the inside of Lindowe to the outside. Unfortunately, there's only one person who knows where it is.
Oh no, are you going to tell me it's Sniffer?
How did you know that? Yeah.
Call it an epiphany.
A what?
To me, is a very big word.
He says, yeah, apparently the head of the Thieves Guild will actually, they have a secret tunnel.
I may think I know the one you're talking
And
about.
he pauses for a while. He says, I do hope it doesn't come out through my cellar. I'll be mighty embarrassed if we ever get the guards in here.
No, it doesn't, my friend. You're perfectly safe. Can Hazra cast his mind back and remember where the entrance came out this side when we went to the docks and went on the barge with the goods?
Yeah, you can use your if you multiply your intelligence by 5, and that'll give you a percentage that you can roll.
Okay, so that would be 60.
Alternatively, you can give me a point of luck to see whether or not you remember. It's up to you.
I'm going to try. I'm going to do this
Okay.
dicily. I can't do it. It was dark. It's in the city. I don't know.
And now,
Yeah.
looks like you're going to. Unless you want, you can either
I
climb
could
the
use
wall.
a point of luck to reverse that roll, couldn't I?
You
Which
could.
is the same thing as giving you a point of luck, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Without drama.
Yeah. And you would have guaranteed it. Yeah. So are you going to use a point left?
I will use a point of luck.
Yeah,
because it was a pretty fraught day, that, so you should.
Yeah, and you remember roughly where it is. You also remember that it was quite a journey down the sewers, and just so you know, you actually come out. If I just,
It was to the left of the docks, wasn't it?
yeah, it's. Can you see? It's actually here.
Oh, hang on, sorry, I missed. Oh, that's. Oh, sorry, I thought it's more over here, but yeah, that's right. It's that little inlet.
Yeah.
There.
So that's where you came out. But you do remember that there was quite. I think you were
There's
on
a wee beastie in there too.
Yeah, I think there was a giant crocodile or alligator lurking it, and you went by barge.
Yeah, but there wasn't a walkway along the side. The only reason we went by barge was because we were carrying goods.
Yeah, and it would be quicker.
Yeah. I was just going to try and climb the wall.
Oh, cool.
He'd feel more comfortable out jumping over things rather than going through trapped inside a tunnel.
Okay then. So
he knows there's something in there.
That will be your athletics, which should be quite good.
Yeah, it's really
good. Climbing a rough or rugged thing, half your hour. That's done. Climbing. No, yeah. So it'll be So it will be climbing straight up. Just to let you know, a critical success. The climber permits the climber to scale the surface extremely quickly, or avoid any hidden danger involved with the attempt. A failure merely indicates that the climb was aborted, so you don't fall down or anything. A fumble roll results in a fall. Furthermore, the character cannot attempt acrobatic skill to reduce falling damage.
he's going to do it. He's going to chuck his spear as he always does, into his sash on his back. You know, his waist sash. He'll stick it down there, so it's behind him. And he will try to see the easiest part by looking over the wall if he can. He's going to try to see what roofs are on the other side. As he's walking to the wall he wants to pick, and he's going to try and climb it.
Cool. So roll your athletics roll. Do you know, I saw that coming up and I thought it was an 11. I thought that's even better. Yeah, so you scale up the wall, and what I would like you to do is roll your perception, okay? But if you succeed, nobody sees you.
Right.
If you fail, is your perception 90? Is that your 90?
92. Yes,
92.
Yeah.
So if you fail, then somebody actually sees you, then we'll decide who it is that sees you. Yeah. So let's roll your perception.
Oh, that's my last point of luck going there, by the way. I'd like to reverse that, please.
Oh, 92 out of 93.
I'll make that a formidable success. If that's
So you use... How many points of luck do you have left?
That's 0. As he's climbing up, he can feel something give under his hand, and he'll quickly adjust himself while looking around, and hopefully nobody's heard the little scuffle he's made.
Yeah, you sort of like try to sort of like put yourself as flat to the wall as you possibly can, and sort of like...
As a searchlight goes above me.
Yeah, remain silent and still in your white linen armour.
You'd be like, oh no, it was nothing, it was just the rats.
Yeah, there's sort of like a couple of guards are walking past and you sort of like freeze and they sort of like stop. Because maybe you dislodged a small piece of rock that falls down, and they sort of like look down an alley and say, Did you hear that, Jim? No, Jim, I didn't hear that. No. Well, let's carry on, Jim, shall we? Yeah, Jim, let's do that. And they just sort of like walk off. And Hazra manages to scale the wall on the other side. Right, okay then, back down to the foursome. Oh, Bartleby's typing, it says.
No, it's not appropriate.
What have you said now?
Redacted.
Bartleby's deleting now. Bartleby's lost confidence in his conviction. Episode title: A Tale of Two Jims.
But we're looking for a man named Jim.
One-eyed Jim. You certainly are, and you sort of like head down to the docks. So Bartleby, you have Streetwise. Does anybody else have Streetwise?
Nope.
Actually, hold on.
I have Lore of Lower Lindowe, as well as Streetwise.
Yep.
I don't know if that's...
What does Ben have?
Ben.
That's Streetwise, no.
I forgot about Ben. I hope he's doing okay next to me.
He's fine.
He doesn't have Streetwise.
Right. Does Cyrus have Streetwise?
No.
No. Okay then. So you can, Bartleby, I would like you to roll. Wait, don't roll anything yet. You can roll to see if you can locate One-Eyed Jim, or you can give me a point of luck, and luckily you find him.
I have 2 points of luck.
Just to let you know, your Streetwise skills, it's not, I roll my Streetwise and find him. It's been more that you're going around asking people.
Yeah, Bartleby has a little bit of a network. He knows how to interact with people. And
so that would be the Streetwise roll. If you give me a point of luck, then you talk to the first person that you talk to sort of like directs you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and spend one of my points of luck, bring me down to 1.
Wow. Yeah, so the first person you talk to signals down to the one of the piers that looks very similar to one of the piers that we had where Neville died. But, you know, once you've seen one pier, you've seen them all. And there seems to be a group of... They're sailors. Let's just say that. So they're not in the best condition. And they're sort of like propping themselves up on these. Oh, you can't see those, can't you?
No.
Let's just move you all. Can you see these now?
I can see the,
It's just
the edge
barely
of
in the
dark.
darkness. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be on those, and they seem to be just sat down. And you notice one of the more scrawny-looking sailors does actually have an eye patch on and a mop of blonde hair. He doesn't look elderly. He looks quite young for a sailor, and probably in his 20s, you know. And he's just sort of like sat there, and you notice that several of them have got some kind of drinking, maybe a water skin or something like that they're actually drinking from. And when they seem to see your torches, your lantern approach them, and they almost like give you that weary look, and then sort of like just carry on, you know, playing with bones, scattering bones around the place, or chewing tobacco, or generally doing sailor-like things. There's no sea shanties going on at the moment, but you do see somebody has an accordion, one of the squeezy boxes, and he's playing some more mournful, reminiscent tune. No singing, although, so like really sort of like putting a downer on the whole area. Yeah, what would you like to do?
Barley's gonna look to see if anybody else wants to looks to the group to see who's going to take lead here. Well, just glancing if
Please don't make Cyrus do it.
more likely to Hengist, since Hengist is right next to him, kind of the...
Hengist is a noble warrior. I always imagine Hengist if he goes up to some lower ranking people, so I think, "Good morning, Eth. How doth thou fare this great day?" And they always go, "What?"
A lisp?
He's not quite that posh.
I think he should be.
I did when I was creating Hengist think of how do you pronounce his name? Mandalorian from the Belgrade.
Oh
that
yes,
night.
yeah.
That did flash through my mind when I was creating Hengist, but then I went a slightly different route.
I think it's probably Bartleby is the best one to talk in this situation. He's known for, you know, being a friend of the slums, etc.
Well, in that case, Bartleby is going to put on his best streetwise voice and walk towards them. Hello, hello.
As you walk off, just before you walk up, there's a little tug on a piece of garment. You look round, and Ben's just sort of like tugged the garment, and he looks at you and says, "Good luck."
Thank you, man.
You're going to need
No
it.
pressure. Raw cannon.
Slight doubt on myself now, but Bartleby is going to walk forward, his arms, you know, out. He has no weapons.
One of them comes up
right
and
here.
hugs. One of them,
there.
one of them comes up and hugs you. Misinterpreted the open arms, and so like
Stranger things have happened.
yeah. So you just all like put your arms out as if you're welcoming in some religious, you know, position, and they also like look at you and sort of like, oh.
Well, greetings, fellow travelers. My group and I are investigating some dangers in this area.
I would have thought Bartleby has a voice that he uses when he's in there. So, greetings, my fellow travellers. Then one of them looks at you and says, "What do you want?"
Well, we were told that a man named One-Eyed Jim might be around these parts, and that he might have knowledge that would help my
And
crew.
the person with the eye patch turns around you and says, "A person with one eye? Can't see anybody around here with missing an eye. Can you, boys?" And they also go, "No, we can't." And you notice, Bartleby, that some of them are closing one eye. No, we've all got the right number of eyes around here, haven't we? And the accordion person goes, as a bit of a sea shanty, and they all laugh.
Bartleby will give a laugh as well, as if he gets the joke and it's not fully on him, and says, "Well, if I could find such a person, we needed to know some information about sea devils."
And you sort of like mentioned this word, sea devils, and one of them, still with an eye, says, "Who are you again?"
I'm Priest Bartleby Fumus of the Church of Amriel.
"A priest? Have you come down here to give us your blessing?"
I give the blessings to any who need them
Yeah,
down
and
here.
they sort of like burst out laughing and say, "Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. Come and get your blessings from here." And they sort of like laugh. You just roll your insight skill. Yeah, you sort of like, oh, do you know, if you had a point of luck.
I do have a point of luck, but Bartleby is a little bit naive.
Yeah, and you can't figure out whether or not they're laughing at you or with you.
Well, if you don't have any blessings that you need or healings of your ailments, perhaps you'd like to talk more about sea devils?
Okay,
Bartleby looks to all of them like they each might be One-Eyed Jim now.
you can roll your influence skill. You can augment it with your streetwise.
Myself. How about I do it all professional like?
And we flash back to Hazra climbing over the walls, and then we flash back to this time. Oh, yeah, and the one-eyed Jim that actually has an eye patch on, sort of like stops laughing, and he sort of like stands up and he says, "Will there be cash involved?"
I would be happy to pay for some knowledge. I'm only here to put an end to this threat.
And he turns around and he says, "Walk with me." And he sort of like comes through the party and sort of like heads further down the road. And then almost like round the corner. So he's out of sight from the rest of them down at the far end of the pier. You can still hear the accordion music, and he says, "Money?"
Bartleby will go into his pocket. He only carries 25 silver on him, so he'll start with 3.
Roll
3 silver coins.
Roll your streetwise skill.
I would love to. Let's just make sure it doesn't have anything added. It does not. How?
Decisions.
I'm going to burn through my last luck point.
What?
Bartleby needs to know.
So you hand over some, and a host of bandits drop down from the internet. Yeah, so like, oh dear, I've got no more luck left. The streetwise was, by the way, to decide how much money to actually give him, whether or not you actually understand the exchange of information, and you know that 5 silver pieces in this situation is plenty rather than the full 25, and you sort of like hand over You can hand over 3 as you originally said. I'm happy with that. And he takes it and he starts to tell you a story. And throughout actually telling you it, you notice that every now and again he sort of like turns his head and makes sure that the coast is clear. He doesn't look like he's frightened of someone. It's more that he doesn't want to be seen with you people, and maybe he's had people make fun of him when he's told the story before. And before he gets on to the actual story, he says that he's a sailor for hire, and he travels from port to port on ships that will hire him. So currently he has no work, so he can't leave Lindowe. But the last ship that he had passage on or work on came to Lindowe. That actually arrived some 2 weeks ago. But before they arrived, they sailed by an island. And the interesting thing about the island was that it wasn't on any charts or anything. And it was a substantial island. And the captain of the ship decided that because it wasn't on any maps, that they would weigh anchor or furl up the sails so the boat would stop. And they went off to investigate. And when they actually went to the island and started to investigate, they noticed that there were certain types of ritualistic areas, lots of sacrifices, weird symbols and everything. And seeing this, they bid a hasty retreat back to the boat and ship, and then they got on. But what happened, they were sort of like a few hours after leaving the island, the so-called sea devils rose out of the water and climbed up, scaled the sides of the ship and attacked the sailors. There was about 6 of them, and the sailors, they lost a lot of crew, and even the mercenaries that was there to guard the trade, some of them also died. But eventually the sea devils noticed that they were outnumbered and bid a hasty retreat by literally jumping or diving off the board, off the ship. It was interesting that anybody who was injured or mortally injured, even though they used bandages, etc., 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 that their wounds became infested, and actually they died of high temperature, their wounds going gangrenous, and almost like the flesh around it becoming deadened and black and just corroding. And even the only people who survived was those with a very small wound, or the people who was good at fighting. And yeah, he sort of like takes your gold after passing on that information and heads out.
You tell us where they might be right now?
As in the sea devils.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, I didn't see them after that. They just never came back. I'm sure it was something to do with that island, though."
I agree.
He says, "Do you know something very strange? When I was on watch at the night, I often used to hear sounds, water splashing, and I'm sure that when I looked over the bow of the ship, I'm sure I could see these things, humans, almost like following the ship, swimming underwater, just keeping out of range of any weapons. The swimming dark shadows, as if they were following us or accompanying us.
Well, that's weird.
It certainly was weird.
Weird.
Damn spooky, if you ask me.
Well, thank you for your story. We'll keep it in mind. Go on with your business. Again, thank you. I turn to Bartleby.
If I could give out nice luck for niceness, I would give it to Cyrus. I think that's the first person that he's actually been nice to. And he's sort of like...
He was paid and he did his job.
And he sort of like bows and sort of like looks around with his one eye and then slumps off into the darkness.
I turned to Bartleby. So what does that mean?
I need to get to the church very quickly.
Get me to the church on time.
Is it right now the time to pray? I don't...
No,
What?
because the little girl that I healed earlier might have the same kind of infectious wound and it's going to kill her with a high temperature fever.
Whatever. All right.
Ben rummages.
As long as we...
Ben rummages around in his belt pouch and says, "Does she have a cough?" And brings out a face mask that he just puts.
Hand sanitizer.
Good thinking.
Yeah, had
Ben, that is very non-presidential of you.
But I drink bleach as well. I'm just
Oh, good.
Oh, Ben, your brain entry is getting worse.
And yet there's still people who have a worse. At least Ben has an excuse. Sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't years of undiagnosed syphilis.
Well,
All right,
I suppose on. Oh, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Cyrus.
how are we gonna get back?
Oh, that's. Well, I presume we'd go up to the gates and ask the guards quite nicely. They're very reasonable.
Or we just pay them. Because they probably won't, because that's their job not to. So we should probably pay them to like make it worth their while.
I always like it when Cyrus uses words like "we."
I know you guys have money. I don't want to get money.
Yes,
my money's for myself.
We will have to pay them.
Yes, we guys, specifically Bartleby, who really, like, do you even need money? Like, you have the church.
Do you want to know? Hengist actually has the most money.
Sorry, what?
He's a
How do you think I have
noble.
money?
He's a
Don't pay for
noble.
anything. It's all hand-me-downs. Hengist will turn to them and say, "Well, we now know how these things have arrived at Lindowe, and they've clearly attacked a couple of times on the docks. Perhaps we should, or perhaps Ben and I should have a quick look down the docks where the chap that you've told me about in the past got killed with you when he was attacked with you guys, and start there. If you're wanting to go back, Bartleby, to check on the girl."
I don't know if we should split up even more. I think we're already missing our good friend.
Lower Lindowe is
Ezra.
pretty dangerous at this time. It's best that we make our investigations quick and then.
Yeah. So let's not hang around too long at the docks. Let's check out the docks, see if we see anything. If not, let's head back and see if that little girl already died or not.
Okay then. So you Bartleby does like a little tear appears in his eye.
You've got to remember, Mr. Pickles, you healed her with Amriel's light. The sailors probably didn't have Amriel's light.
No.
It's
but
true.
It still hurts.
And also probably means nothing. But
So Hazra, you're on the opposite side of the wall now.
Yes.
What would you like
So
to do?
Hazra wants to head, because he now knows the guards are on the opposite side of the gate.
Yeah.
He's going to follow the wall back to the gate.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll be moving. You probably came down just by maybe past that tower actually, because you wouldn't want to go through a guard tower.
No.
You're
So maybe
probably
that
sort of
wall
like
there, yes.
there. So you're heading, following the wall at a reasonable distance, and coming back towards the gate. And the rest of you head down to the bar, the docks. Yeah, is that your plan?
Yes.
Yeah, where Neville was.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of like head down there. You can remember where it is, and yeah, you get to the dock. There's definitely some blood stains there. There seems to be like a flower, sort of like just resting on the side, as if somebody's paid tribute. And yeah, you're just sort of like stood on the pier. You can hear the gentle lapping of the water of the sea up against the wooden parts of the pier, and yeah, everything is very quiet.
Looking over the water, looking over the dock. I mean, with the lantern, probably doesn't reveal too much. Doesn't pierce the water
No.
very well, I'd imagine.
It doesn't at all.
When Neville was attacked, was there anything else that was happening? Did he disturb the water, or did they just attack?
He was just standing here, like looking out off the dock into the water.
Yeah.
And then he turned to see you, and
Yeah,
that's
and then they snuck up behind
yeah,
him.
that's when they came out of the water.
Yeah. Well, I don't see anything. Let's go. I'm missing a few drinks.
You didn't even look, Cyrus.
Are you? Do you wish to go back
There's
to?
nothing here. We'd see or hear something or smell something. I don't know. I think we're wasting our time.
Are you going back to the drowning stallion?
No. I plan to leave.
Okay. Bartleby and Hengist, just make a perception roll as you leave the dock for me.
Ooh!
What?
Bringing the eyes. Is when I leaned over to check to see if the lantern pierced through the water.
Yeah, he also has a lantern, so that's double.
Yeah, so Hengist doesn't see anything and just sort of like heads on back, and Bartleby, you're sort of like ready to move away. Then something catches your eye, just almost like banging up against one of the poles that the pier stands on, if that makes sense. And it's sort of like the movement catches in your peripheral vision, and you have a look, and you put the lantern down, and you notice that the sea devil's leg is still there. It's just sort of like bumping up against the pier.
I'll call out to the group and Hengist especially. The leg's still here, actually.
Angus will turn around and go and stand next to Bartleby and look out to see what he's pointing at and what he's talking about.
I would have thought it had drifted away by now, but...
Why, are you hungry or something, Bartleby?
And that, Bartleby, is exactly when your perception wheel comes into play, and you hear a scream. It seems to be coming from the north, so further along the docks, and it's one of those piercing, loud screams, communicating pure terror, pure, almost as if the person, the only thing they can do is scream. They're probably transfixed and can't do anything. It's not a light-hearted scream. It's a real powerful scream. I'm going to die scream. And Bartleby, you hear it. as you step back onto the pier, what would you like to do?
Bartleby would like to run to the source of it as swiftly as he can, but I'm not sure if hearing it like that in this position, if he has an idea of where to go beyond like a simple direction.
Yeah, so you've got a choice from where you are. It's probably from the north, so you could either jump over that gap. Oh, sorry. Try to jump over that gap, and then or you can go back the way you came. So down this way, and then to the main corridor. If you remember when you were talking to One-Eye Jim, up the corridor there, and then try to get back to the actual piers that way. Hengist and Cyrus and Ben, so you can just see that Bartleby looks quite worried.
I'll
just
I'll follow
make
his,
Hengist and Cyrus, just make insight rolls.
all right.
Oh, he makes the insight roll.
Yeah,
The worst skill.
but Cyrus
I
is
do not.
unless you want to look it. Do you
No,
know?
save that luck.
Do you know? I always think at this time, after the break, if I say, "Oh, you want to look it," I think everybody looks at the time.
It's like, so much time we got.
Hengist always looks.
Oh, we've got another half an hour. I'll keep it. Yeah. So, Hengist, you've seen this look on Bartleby's face before, and it's that awful look that he's heard something or worried about something or something ghastly is happening. Yeah, Bartleby, what do you want to do?
Bartleby is not the sort of person to be jumping docks.
Oh, please.
He's the type of person to be tripping and falling off docks face first because he stepped on his robe or something.
I know, but just think how good it was. Oh, Ben says, "Are you all right?"
Bartleby is ignoring everybody, and he's going to sprint through the streets as swiftly as he can.
This way.
Yeah, that he's not going to be able to jump a bunch of piers.
Hengist seeing Bartleby in some distress and then just turn his heels and will run after him.
With the only lantern.
Yeah, and he's got the only lantern. That's the other reason why Hengist is running. Nothing to do with the fact that
people
Bartleby
follow.
looks a bit.
Cyrus never seen Bartleby actually move past a little dainty stride. Surprised by this, and decides to run towards Bartleby as well.
Okay then, so Bartleby, leading the charge, heads onto the streets to try to locate this stream. So roll for me, please, your streetwise. But I'm going to let you augment it with your devotion to Amriel, because I think you're probably doing this action in a vein, to save or heal or be not rewarded, but in Amriel's name. So go for it.
That is one of the sweetest skills to have be an augment. That brings me up to a 69 for streetwise. So here is that roll.
Ooh,
I
Yeah.
have no luck right now.
Yeah, I know. I was like worried about that. Like, someone just getting like freaking stabbed. And he was like, I don't know where they're at.
So you sort of like head off, and you find your way back round to the dock, and it's not actually completely up to you to find the scene, because as you sort of like turn around the corner, you notice that other people are heading in the screams direction, as if other people have heard it. There's almost like opening doors and looking out, and you sort of like turn the corner, you come down a corridor very similar to the one that you left, because
Almost like they're prefabbed.
Yeah, well, all
Same
docks look
architects.
look the same, and you come up, and as you approach the actual pier, you notice that actually, I'm just moving you a bit so you can see with the light. As you get closer, you see one of these sea devils, shall we call them, seems to have hold of a girl, quite a young girl, probably Bartleby. Shouldn't have been out on the streets, but maybe has no family or anything like that. And the creature, the sea devil, almost like has her over his shoulder like a fireman's lift. And as your light touches him, he sort of like turns momentarily round to you, sneers as you're running down the thing, towards the pier, and turns round and dives off the pier.
Do we have any reaction before he does this?
Hang on a minute. That's what I'm just. My dice won't roll. Why is my dice not rolling? Right.
There it is.
There he goes. Tell me the action that you would like to do, and I'll tell you whether or not you can do it. You cannot throw that glaive. You don't even go there.
Angus draws his longsword and throws it two-handed over his head.
I was wondering if I can cast shove the body that's in the thing's arms. If I can maybe shove it out of his grasp.
That's a folk magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have to. It should be instant.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say is that you can cast it, but because of everything that's happening and you're at the back of the party, then rather than a standard success, you're going to need a hard success to actually do it in time.
All right. That's fine. You know why? Because I believe in myself and how awesome I am. Okay. So it's gonna be
Folk magic,
shove,
yeah.
which
Brilliant.
is that, and I'm gonna come on, roll well.
Oh,
Bam!
yeah. And as the sea devil turns round and goes to dive off, you see the girl sort of like over the guy's the sea devil's shoulder. You sort of go like that, with your hand, and it's just sort of like this almost like invisible force, and you feel it, Bartleby, sort of like coming past you, this almost like shockwave, and your dainty fine wiry hair sort of like goes like, as it goes back, and as this guy, this monster, the sea devil, goes to dive into the water, Cyrus, you shove with all your magical power, and if it was just a normal success, I would have asked you to roll where you shoved the girl to, on the pier, and I would give you like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would roll it, and that's where she would go. However, because it's a critical success, you can tell me where you want her to fall. I'm going to give you some options. Two. She either falls to safety on the dock, but probably where I'm pinging now.
See, on my screen's black, so I'm not seeing for some reason.
Let me just.
So I'm not seeing where that is.
Let's just make sure that you have got your. Oh, poor Cyrus has been blind all this time.
There we go. Okay, that's something.
So you're not sort of like up at that point. So You can push her here or here. Okay, this guy is this sea devil is definitely going down that way.
I'm going to push him the opposite direction of here, or I can't paint, but the above him.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he probably turns round, and as he's turning, you shove with with a critical success, and this sea devil was holding on to her, but not that tightly. And when you pushed her, your critical roll sort of like takes her out of his arms and onto the deck. But the sea devil, it all happens at the same time, and the sea devil is diving off into the water, and he continues his dive as you shove this girl to safety. Bartleby, you've got competition now. You've got Cyrus.
All that matters is saving the people, so...
Yeah.
What you want to say? Remember how confident I was before I rolled that? I just want to make sure y'all remember that. I said how awesome I was. And bam, something awesome happened. Just saying. Just saying.
Please say that again next time when a fumble comes. This is going to be one of these things that will last for games now. You know, you'll say it, just remember how good I am, and it'll be another critical or something like that.
Just saying.
But then all of a sudden it'll just fall to bits. Yeah, and
look into if me hacking Roll20.
The guy, the young girl sort of like lands on the pier. And she's Bartleby, you're closer now. She looks quite in shock. She doesn't seem there is something very things that seem to be unusual are she's not injured. You can actually see Bartleby from here that she's not injured at all. She has no claw marks or anything. It was almost like a snatch and grab, and this is something that it suddenly dawns on you that something's changed. There's a tactic that has changed, and this seems different than what it was. It no longer seems to be killing. It seems to be more an emphasis on capturing. Hengist, do you want to dive after the sea?
No.
Just
how deep is the water? It's like up to his waist. He might.
If it's a dock, I'm assuming it's deep.
It's quite interesting because in Mythras you add some things together and subtract things, and if the score is negative, you automatically sink. You know, and I think Hengist is sort of like
Hengist is wearing full heavy armor. Hengist would sink in a puddle.
So, Cyrus, if you ever want to, if Hengist actually ever gets on your nerves or anything, you can just shove him off into some water, and then that's it. Bartleby, you're next to the girl.
O'Barley would want to go to her aid and make sure she's not injured, but you just said she wasn't, so
She does look like she's in shock.
Bartleby would like to approach, muttering a prayer quietly to Amriel. I think you know which one.
Yeah.
Prayer of calm, prayer of goodness. But let's see if Bartleby's nerves are shot. They are not.
They are not. No, and Amriel's breath. You start casting your spell, and all of a sudden the cloud moves away from the moon, and it's glowing. It's all its glorious shine, moonlight shines down onto her, and she seems somewhat at ease, but somewhat. You're not too sure whether or not she's passed out or she's sleeping, one or the other.
But she's not conscious, I guess.
No, but you do notice that she rolls over and sort of like snuggles onto your lap.
Well, we need to get her off the docks. Ben, maybe you could give me a hand. Let's get her away from the water.
And Ben sort of like gives you the hammer.
No, Cyrus is the one that likes to hold big, heavy objects.
Just to let you know,
My own, though.
His hammer weighs 3 encumbrance. Can you lift it?
I believe I could, but
Just
I'm
drag
not
it?
exactly sure.
If you
I've
add
got 10 strength.
no, so if you add it in your equipment, it will. Can you see
Oh,
what
and
I
the
mean?
temporary.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say it changes my carrying load at all.
Does your fatigue move? You know the one when it says standard, etc.
It doesn't move at all.
Yeah, can you see here now? Can you see where it says encumbrance?
Yeah.
So
That's where I'm putting the temporary number.
yeah, so can you see now? Dex and strength skills are one load higher.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
So
yeah, if I put it up to 8, but at picking up a 3, it doesn't change anything. It's all normal and standard.
So that's fine. So Gulliver's strength and dex was so low that he couldn't carry your sword, Hengist. If he actually picked up the sword, he could still move, but he would be encumbered, and so everything would be one. Yeah. So Ben sort of like gives you his hammer that you sort of like are trying to pick up with one arm. It's a massive hammer because you've got your lantern in the other arm.
Yeah.
And Ben goes over. Just roll his brawn.
Benjamin. There you are. Benny.
Yeah. He sort of like he'll use a luck point to make it happen, and sort of like lifts the girl up, and she holds it, and he turns a bit and says, "Where do you want it?" If anybody's seen Aliens, you would know. No, I just see all negative faces.
I've only seen Alien.
Oh, Aliens is mild better.
Pickles.
Aliens is the best one. It's
the only one to watch out of all of them.
Yeah, and it's the only.
Alien is all right. Like it's not. Yeah, I like Alien. Really, Scott can make a movie.
Yeah, I accept, but Aliens is definitely better. And there's only one other film that the second film is actually better than the first, and that's Lord of the Rings. Because the Two Tower, like a medivac.
Okay. The Two Towers better than the first, but also Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Arguably, a lot of people say it's better. It just,
even though I've got
disagree with that 100%.
Even though
Menace.
Okay, so no, God.
Swiftly moving on.
So you sort of like where are you planning on taking this girl, Bartleby?
Well, at least off of the docks. Is there like? I guess Bartleby was trying to figure out if she was probably taken near here, since I heard the scream over here.
Yeah.
But if she was just on the street, then there isn't a building.
Well, we'll probably say that the other people who are gathered round now sort of like recognise her and take her off Ben, and you're allowed to swap hammers at this point, weapons, and sort of like apparently she had just come out for some fresh air. When she actually lives here in this house. So it's all like in this house, and she does come out for some fresh air, and she sort of like comes round and she mutters and says that something or someone grabbed her from behind. But the interesting thing is there was no damage. There's literally no damage on her at all. Bartleby and Cyrus, make a insight roll.
Inside.
Yeah, you've seen things like this before, Cyrus, and you start to sort of like put things together and you are aware that sometimes primitive life forms, sometimes when you've been at war, sometimes they actually don't kill their prisoners straight away, or they don't kill their enemies straight away. They actually take them and keep them alive, either for several reasons. Maybe food, i.e. they're carnivorous or cannibalistic or something like that. Second, for hostages, to have a ransom or to encourage a better stance or position for negotiation. Or thirdly, for some kind of ritualistic purpose, whether or not that's to summon or just to sacrifice, provide offerings to a god or goddess. And those are really the three ways that you've seen before why people...
I'd be more inclined to think they're the second or third one, because if they just wanted to kill her, I think it'd be a lot easier just to kill her and then drag her body to be eaten instead of picking her up and then bring her to the water. So, because that obviously she can struggle or try to grapple her way out. I try to help Bartleby in the calming her down. And then tell her, to make sure she goes back in her house if she thinks she's gonna be fine, and don't lock the door. Do not come out at night.
Yeah, and
these things will try to kill you.
Yeah, and you saying that, a lot of people around the slums are now nodding their heads in agreement and sort of say, yeah, nobody should be out by themselves. Should we arm ourselves? Do you think we need weapons now? And somebody else is sort of saying, we better just keep inside. Let's do a lockdown. And then sort of yeah, don't go out after dark. And you can hear...
The curfew should be in order to protect the citizens of the slums.
Well, yeah, and there's no one to actually enforce that, only themselves, because the guards don't even come down here. But there seems to be this growing panic that is actually happening, and people are sort of talking about barricading themselves in at night and not going out, and not even going out to local establishments for drinks or anything like that. And there's almost this sense of dread and worry spreading just with the small group of people around you. And some of them starts to say, I'm going to go back. I live elsewhere, but I'm going to go back and tell my crew as well. This is a really dangerous situation. And they almost seem to be winding each other up, and
causing panic.
Yeah, and people are sort of going left, right, and centre, and you sort of deposit the girl and start to make your way back to the city walls. And it's when you get close that you actually just roll percentile perception. Sorry.
Perception. Okay.
All of you. Yeah.
No. Bartleby is paying attention today.
We're in Lower Lindowe. It's where I'm
Yeah, and you actually, as you sort of walking and getting close to the gate, you actually see Hazra. And in the actually, we should Hazra, make your stealth roll. Remember, it's that hard.
Sorry, and oh no, he failed.
Yeah,
He's been spotted.
Yeah, and Bartleby, you see Hazra sort of trying to hide, between the eaves or the roof of somewhere, and sort of think, you sort of isn't that Hazra?
No, not Hazra.
I'll try and point him out to the others to
Where is he?
try and confirm.
Swear to me.
Swear to me.
And you sort of like he sort of like comes out of the shadows, and you head. I'm assuming that you're going to try to get through the gate. Is that the plan?
That's where we're heading towards.
Plan A.
Yeah. Okay then. So you get up.
Waiting for other plans.
Yeah. Well, I thought Bartleby was going back to the church. That's why I thought.
My goal is to get to the church because I want to treat the girl with a cure malady.
Yeah.
Miracle.
Okay then. So when you get to the gate house, it's shut. You know, and the guards are up on top of the battlements. Would somebody like to? It just need one of you. Just roll a 1d6, and for somebody else decide whether or not you're going odds or evens.
I want to decide evens.
Okay, evens. Okay, somebody roll the dice.
Someone roll one of these.
Not me. I
Alright.
decided the even on.
Sorry.
Okay, it's odd.
Angus.
So
You had one job.
would you
It was a
prefer?
50-50.
Would you prefer the same guards to be on or a shift change? Which one would you prefer? Which one do you want?
Shift change.
I like the 2 gems.
Which one are you going for? Shift.
I would
I
prefer
would-
shift
why would-
change.
Okay, but because you failed, it's the same guards, and they sort of like come up and says, "You, yeah, what? You come near the gate and you can see them up at the top. Yeah, looking down at you."
I greet them and say, "Hello, it is I, Priest Bartleby Fumus of the Church of Amriel. I was hoping that you could let us through. There's a situation that needs my direct attention immediately at the Church of Amriel."
Influence.
Heck yeah. Heck no.
Oh, you got no. Oh, that would have been a fantastic luck roll.
It would have been.
So what I'm going to say is that if you part with some coinage, they'll let you in.
Angus will get his coin pouch out this time and jangle it.
And yeah, roll. Hengist, roll your insight. Oh, you give them each 10 silver pieces, which seems to be the going rate, and they let you into the into Lindowe. And Bartleby, you head straight off to the church to cast your cure malady. So let's that's a good roll, Hengist.
Thank you.
It was very helpful and very generous of you there. Cure malady, of course.
Yep.
And scampering all the way up there and sliding on the marble floors, hopefully to get to the girl before she's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you may. And when you actually get there, you notice that although the bleeding has stopped, the blackened skin that was around it has started to spread and killing the skin. And you notice that there was weeping sores and sort of like pus slowly oozing out of the wound. And you quickly heal that, cure it, and you notice that it doesn't actually instantly change it. It still looks roughly the same, but it does look like it was slightly less red, and you feel Amriel's moonlight extract the badness, the actual disease from her leg. And you do notice before you do it that she's very hot and sweaty and running a high fever, and you know this spell sort of like stops all that. Yeah, what would you like to do then?
I hadn't actually thought that far ahead. I was just hoping to get there before the girl died. I get back together with the rest of the group. Of course, Bartleby doesn't really know what the next course of action would
Okay,
be.
so it's probably down to maybe camping, going back to Hairy Hobgoblin, and maybe working out a plan. Cyrus and Hengist, you've got strategy skills,
Yeah.
so roll those for me.
Okay.
That's worst joke ever, Medivac.
I was ignoring it. I wasn't even going to draw attention to it.
I was going to say it, but I thought, no, I'll type it.
Leave it for all eternity.
Cyrus, you make it, don't you? Yeah. So you're sort of like, as everybody's walking back to the Hairy Hobgoblin, you're sort of like pairing up and going over again in your mind what One-Eye Jim said. And you remember him saying that he came in on a ship and that had gone past the island. And you remember him saying that he was hired on single journeys. So once that ship had got here, he would be unemployed. And just as you sort of like supping your last drop of beer, or, you know, as you've all gone your separate ways and you're going to bed, turning in for the night, then you suddenly think, I wonder if that ship is still in port. Because if it is, then it might hold some clues or information. And that, I think we'll leave it there for that day. I've still got 3 minutes.
Is there a name for that ship that you told us?
Yes, there is. It is.
Can Hengist use his luck point to roll for it?
Yeah. Well,
Angus is keeping his luck point in case he trips and breaks his neck on the way home.
On the way home.
Yeah.
That's right. Good
It
thinking.
happens.
Very good
It happens.
yeah. It was called, the ship was called the Surfer. It's well, you can find out, and with that sort of like in your head, you sort of like turn over, content that you have some course of action, or that you have come up with a wonderful idea to mention to the party tomorrow that you've got
Sadly,
this.
because he's drunk, he will forget.
Where it says like tomorrow, Cyrus. Next event.
But that might be a luck point, guys.
It just
Cyrus
means
just lights his finger and just carves it into the wall in flames.
yeah.
Just like carve it into my arm so I don't forget.
Yeah, it's this thing to at the next meeting. Cyrus is going to say, "I've got some news," and everybody says, "It's not about the Surfer, is it?" Because we all
We already know about
Maybe
that.
that one out there.
we all heard
You
it. So
told us that all
yeah.
Shut up about the Surfer.
When they say hairy hobgoblin, I always have to think of hairy hobbit toes. Very good. Right. We will leave it there. Thank you for coming along and joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it, and players, I hope you've enjoyed getting a little bit closer. And it's interesting that we definitely we're focusing on one element of the story at the moment, which I think is very positive. And you had some good skill rolls, I think, and sorted out a whole load of things. And Cyrus has yet again managed to make an acquaintance of, in Hairy Hobgoblin, it was the barmaid. At the Drowning Stallion, it was the barkeeper. Who knows what will happen next? He might find himself besotted by the sea devil woman. And then that would be it. So, yeah.
His name is
Hey,
Gina.
I did save her, so just saying that.
Yeah.
It was definitely all me. So.
And from now on, all sailors would be called Jim. Just so you know, there will be no alteration on that. But you're free to add some kind of suspense to it and say, Sorry, in Wales, what was the sailor's name? Jim. You know, that's it.
Was it Jim A B C D?
Yeah.
Or Jim
No,
with
they
one
don't.
eye.
They don't know
Jim with one
alphabet.
But I really go by G.
One eye A, one eye two.
Yeah, they all have one thing missing. So there's one eye Jim, one leg Jim, one arm Jim, one finger Jim, and so forth and so on. One ear Jim, then that's it. Fantastic. So yes, we will be back next week when we'll continue the adventure, and hopefully I feel that we could terminate one of the stories and actually work out that it's done and dusted. Hope that you have enjoyed coming along and watching us play tonight. If you have, then don't forget that you can catch up on all our actual plays on YouTube. Just search for In Wheels and you'll see the channel, plus all my rule videos are up there as well, and a wonderful Leoness campaign story that we played with the creator of Mythras, Lawrence Whitaker, who came and GM'd for us. Well worth a watch. Don't forget that if you're interested in Mythras Matters, then the podcast is out, so you can go and have a look at it. It comes out every month. And don't forget that on the 10th of October, my new podcast, The In Wheels Interval, will go live. So if you haven't already bookmarked the page, then do so now. You'll see it there. Okay, have fun, everyone. Has anybody got anything to say or announcement? Sorry.
Yes, remember, if you want to come along and play,
Oh yes,
Ben's always available. Be a special guest star, speak to In Wales.
yeah. And just to let you know, Hazra, it's your turn to pop out if somebody does go.
I spent most of my time dodging around anyway tonight.
I was just thinking, I don't know if I need to put a box above Hasra's head for so if there's 5 people, there's room for it. And of course the dice roll is on the other side, but I don't know what I would do with the small one. I might put the dice roll somewhere else, but
I nominate Medivac to share his window.
yeah, you could be there's like half and half. Brilliant. Okay.
I've got a big window.
Yeah, I'll just make it bigger. It's like, yeah, fine. Okay. Hope you've enjoyed tonight. Look after yourselves. Please stay healthy, wash your hands, and keep a sensible distance apart. We will be back next week. Until then, have fun, and we'll all say to you, see you later. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Oh, I have to run this one first. This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.